listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, where each week we talk about a free piece or two of technology that you can use in your classroom. I'm your host, Shanna Martin. I'm a middle school teacher, technology, and instructional coach for my district.
And I'm her producer and husband and the primary resource for editing this podcast, Fuzz Martin.
Good work.
Thanks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Here. It's January.
It is
January's almost over.
But,
yeah, like a day.
Yeah, but it's cold.
Yeah.
Here. And
it is. Good old
I know,
Wisconsin.
like out east right now, they're having a blizzard, a bomb.
Yes.
What is a bomb squall or something like that?
I don't know what it's called, but
it's just a giant blizzard that hits hard and fast. Your brother lives out there, so we should check on him.
We will. And they were like hunkering down. They were prepared this weekend.
Yeah. Lots of chili.
Yeah.
Snow shovels.
Yeah.
Sleds.
Crazy. And January is like the longest month of the year, even though it's not, but it feels like the longest month of the year.
Yeah. It's long.
There's
and
fun
cold.
things to do. Like we've like
podcasts.
seen. Yeah, listen to podcasts. We saw some cool ice sculptures. Like we've gone tubing. We've done all the winter things, but there's only much soup and cocoa you can, consume.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, podcasting, listen to podcasts.
Yes.
Chatting about podcasts.
Creating podcasts.
Making cool stickers and t-shirts for podcasts.
Yes, exactly. All the good stuff.
So this week,
mm-hmm.
It's a shout to I want to say like a lot of social studies teachers could use this, but really anybody can use these topics because they have good discussion points on them. We have 2 sites this week, and the first one is for our K-5 educators out there. And it is
this one going out to all you K-5 educators out there. Here's a request from Shanna Martin, S. Martin, WI.
Yeah. Okay. So it's called Kid Citizen.
Yes.
And it's kidcitizen.net. And it's such a cool resource for K-5 teachers. And I think it kind of depends on the district or where you're located. Kind of where we are, our K-5ers have a lot of reading and math and writing. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of do an every other science social studies unit. So they don't have it every day. And these lessons, they teach civics stuff through primary sources, and it starts introducing kids to primary sources, which when they get to 8th grade, like our whole life is primary sources. So it's kind of fun, a fun way to introduce kids to primary sources. So Kid Citizen, they have like a whole section. So they're like these episodes basically, and they're activities that explore different things with Congress and civics, and they are videos that are created, and then they have different activities that go along with them, and they have discussion points you can do within your classroom, and there's just a cool way to introduce kids to different types of primary sources and then teach them about things going on in civics.
Sure.
Which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
So they have like one based on Rosa Parks, like it's a K2 lesson. They have like one for 3-5 on Congress and child labor, which I think is kind of interesting. It's kind of cool. The different topics are not things that you would necessarily just automatically bring up in your classroom. And they come with a teacher's guide, which is always helpful. And you can go through and you just throw in your zip code. And then that way they can support teachers, and you can download the teacher guides. And from there, you have all kinds of information that you're able to then use to support teaching the lessons in your classroom, which is awesome. The teacher guides, the way they're set up, they have like an essential question where you can pose it to your students or kind of start your lesson that way. It goes through, and they have curricular connections, which I always appreciate, like what standards that you're covering and then how they align with them, which is helpful because you can line it, again, not just for social studies, but into other classes. Mm-hmm. And then historical background. So as a teacher, you don't have to be an expert in all of these topics because they give you kind of the background and where this comes from and how to approach it in your classroom. Because if you don't teach social studies all of the time, this may not be your primary dive into topic kind of thing.
Right.
And then they have other sources that you can use to support what you're teaching with them. So there's all kinds of different resources that they have available. And what I appreciate is the topics. As an 8th grade teacher, I cover these topics, but they're kind of touching on them with kindergarten
K5,
through fifth grade students. And then you also can connect them. Like I would totally use these in my older grade classrooms too, and maybe just modify some of the questions or the content, because you totally could do that with what's there and available, which is pretty cool. And then they also have like a community where teachers can join and connect with each other and share primary sources that way. And then different things in the news. And so they just have a lot of different resources for teachers, and it's all based around citizenship with kids, our younger kiddos, it's kind of nice to see.
I do like that they have a little cartoon girl who walks you through each of the episodes, they call them.
Mm-hmm.
And they have one even on teaching what primary sources are.
Yeah.
So to just give that intro
like
to
a starting point,
kids know like where to start with primary sources, why it's important.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hi, my name is Ella.
Her name is Ella.
Hi, Ella.
And they also have now some in Spanish as well.
Correct. So it's supporting all of our students,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they have like the episode, they have the video, they have the teacher guides. And again, it's walking our younger kiddos through some of that content that they don't always get to because it's set up a little bit different.
The amount of different types of, they call them stories or episodes in here,
Mm-hmm.
but they run the gamut and they're really in depth, but told in a way that's easy to digest.
Yeah.
So
pretty cool. Neat. So it's kidcitizen.net. So check that out for some of our younger kiddos and checking out some new primary sources or how to even define primary sources or what that means.
Very nice. And it's all supported by, and also it works on Chromebooks and tablets and PCs and Macs. And it's supported by the Library of Congress.
Ta-da.
Wow.
Which also has a fantastic archive. I've talked about that before in previous episodes. The Library of Congress has fantastic primary sources, especially if you're having your older kiddos researching. They have so much out there, and it's organized beautifully where you can just search it and it will come up.
Yes. Library of Congress we discussed on episode 35 when we also talked about iCivics.
Today, which also has fantastic games.
Yes.
Playing social studies. Okay. So our other topic today, our other site, this is going to be geared towards our older kiddos. And I would say you can start at 6th grade with a lot of these sites. Mm-hmm. It's learningforjustice.org. And just recently they changed their name. Before, the site was called Teaching Tolerance. Okay. And they made the shift in the last year or so. I have had these resources, I'm going to age myself, for at least 15, I want to say 15 years. I don't know if it's been that long, but as long as I've been teaching.
Since the internet existed.
Right. When I was introduced to this resource a very long time ago, they used to send resources out on VHS tape.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
Very nice.
Learning for Justice. It's learningforjustice.org. I'll kind of walk you through the site. But I have used it in my classroom in middle school for language arts and for social studies because the topics they cover are very relevant for any content area and great talking points. And so I have always taught a unit on the Holocaust, and they have fantastic resources for that. I mean, they have all kinds of resources for all different topics, from race and ethnicity to religion to immigration, bullying and bias. Like they have so many different overall topics, and you can tie them into anything from a class discussion to a guidance lesson to a social studies lesson. It's very well done. So back in the day, it's the story of Gerda Weissman is their lesson on the Holocaust. And what is crazy is that it came in this really cool kit. And it's a little different now, the resources they have. But it was her life story, and it came in an envelope. I have them. They have copies of photos from when she was a child and the maps of her march that she went through and like all of these different pieces that go along with the documentary. Now, of course, times have changed. I kept my kit because I've had it forever and I use it every year still.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because when I taught ELA I used it when I was teaching Holocaust. Now that I teach social studies, I still use it just differently in my classroom, but I still use these resources. And now I still, by the way, have that VHS tape, folks. And now all of them are available in streaming. So you can click on it and you sign up and you stream the video instead. But anyway, they have such just amazing resources. So now that I've talked all about my cool VHS tape, let me walk you through their website, which is a little more up to date. If anyone doesn't know what a VHS tape is, well, I'm sorry. I'll take a picture of it and put it somewhere.
By the way, what does VHS stand for? Do you even know?
Video. I don't know.
Video home system.
Oh.
I guess I never even looked that up. I never knew that. I was trying to figure out what
the more you know.
Yes.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. All right. So, Learning for Justice. Let's actually talk about the site here. So, Fine. Learning for Justice, again, tons and tons of resources. So, if you start, I'll just walk you through the beginning. You start with classroom resources. They have lessons and film kits. And what's interesting about how it's set up, you find first topic right off the bat. It's laid out very quickly for you. So why local elections matter. Then we have the topic, which will fit under like rights and activism and action. It tells you your grade level, and they're really good about their grade level. So it's 6, 8, 9, 12, social studies, civics, history, and then social justice domain, justice and action. If you look at each one of their lessons and how they're set up, they have them really well organized. And you can sort by topic, you can sort by A to Z, you can put your filters on. So if you want lessons for younger students, because they do have them for like K2, 3, 5, which they have definitely broadened their scope. So if you want a lesson, let's say I want 6, 8, I want something on diversity, and then I want to cover reading and language arts, and I want to cover, I think that's good for now. And then I hit apply filters. It will sort out my lessons for me, which makes it so much easier to find things like social media and social action. And then they have like civic engagement and communication. So different things they break down. And then it also tells you what film would go with it, because they have those that tie in too. There are student texts. So they have specific sections just for students to be reading, traditions and different things, literature based and stories that go along with their lessons. They have student tasks, which I think is really cool. Their student task section is lessons based around like a performance task. So this one is right to the source. So right to the source performance task, it gives you rubrics and then gives you writing prompts specific on identity, diversity, justice, and action. And what's cool about these writing prompts, it'll say, do you want to do the two-sided coin, ask students to demonstrate their explanatory and comparative writing skills, or agree or disagree. It talks about comparative writing. So it gives teachers these rubrics and organization and pieces to write about these topics or the topics you're covering in your classroom. They're just really great resources for teachers. They have teaching strategies, learning plan builders, so you can like build your lesson plans and things and set up how you want things to look. With that, if you connect with them, you put in your email and stuff, and then they provide you with resources that way. The film kits are what I have found to be the most useful, and I feel like they don't, I don't want to say age, but they are relevant. Mm-hmm. They were relevant 10 years ago. They're relevant now, and they're very well done. I've used One Survivor Remembers in my classroom. I can't tell you how many times. They have stuff in the Children's March. They're Oscar-winning documentaries where they've pulled this information from. They have Bullied, which has been used in my school off and on. So there's just a lot of really great resources. And then, can't lie, one of my favorite things is they have a collection of printable posters.
Yeah, I saw those.
And I have quite a few of them in my classroom.
Okay.
They're on kindness and hope. I have the Mr. Fred Rogers one hanging in my classroom that says there are 3 ways to ultimate success. The first way is to be kind. The second way is to be kind. The third is to be kind. And found the color printer at my school and I printed a couple of them. I also have the BB King one in my classroom. The beautiful thing about learning is that nobody can take it from you.
Yeah.
The posters are great. And if you can get a hold of a color printer, I don't know, in our school, we have limited use of the color printer. So I printed just a couple, but there's great posters.
Talk nice to the front office.
Yes. Maybe if your own ink at home, but there's just so many great resources and they've grown over the years, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
But I also appreciate is in professional development. So the other part of my job is providing professional development for my staff. And so in the summertime, we go through and they have some great workshops and webinars available to teachers and podcasts. If you happen to be a podcast listener, they have just all kinds of really great.
I think they are. They're listening to this one.
I know.
We're already 17 minutes in.
That's why I said that.
So they know.
Yeah. So they have just great, they have all kinds of just great topics covered and so much information out there available to teachers. And then they also have a quarterly magazine that comes out and it's all free. All of these resources are free. Sometimes they ask for like your email address or your school stuff just to confirm that you're a teacher. Yeah. But there is just a ton out there. And if you used to do the teaching tolerance or you've checked that out before, it's grown in its resources 2-3-fold over the years. And there's a lot more out there now. And it's not just for social studies teachers. So there's just different ways that you can pull this into your classroom and have these discussions with your students on a regular basis, which is pretty cool. So Learning for Justice, just so many great, well done, organized resources that you can use in your classroom. And it helps talk about topics that are not always easy to talk about in the classroom.
It helps you find an approachable way to do that.
Yeah, and have resources to do so, which is pretty cool.
Learningforjustice.org.
.org. Yeah, did I say .com before? It's
no,
.org.
You said .org.
Okay.
But I just
.org.
wanted to enunciate so people would remember. And now that we've said it 17 times,
it will be in your brain forever.
It will be in your brain. It's .org.
Well, that's funsies.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Episode 111, folks.
111.
Thanks
for
tuning in.
Make a wish.
Oh, it is.
Oh, by the way, congratulations to you, Shanna, for a brief moment. You were the 74th most popular how-to podcast in Australia.
What?
So thanks for listening down under. And also the 85th most popular how-to podcast in Great Britain.
Great Britain? What? Australia?
Great Britain represent. You know what, Britain? Since you're listening, it makes you even greater in our books.
Oh my goodness. Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast. If you ever have any questions, you can find me on Twitter @SmartNWI. And if you want to get more information on the links to the technology discussed in this episode, you can visit smartandwi.com. If you'd like to support the show, please consider buying me a coffee or two. Visit buymeacoffee.com/smartandwi or visit smartandwi.com and click on the purple coffee cup. Your donations help keep the show going. And there's also the
Podcash. So
Podcash thing.
Yeah.
Go check out my Twitter feed. You'll find it.
Yeah. If you go to Twitter, go to @SmartinWI is Shanna's Twitter handle, pinned to the top of her Twitter feed.
Yep.
All you have to do, if you like the show, click on it. You type in just type in a 280 character space.
So a couple cents.
Why you like this show, how it helps you as an educator. Click submit. You'll get an email, and then you just have to click the button to confirm that you actually submitted that and that you're not a robot. And then Shanna will be in the running for between $250 and $5,000 for Podcash. So thanks to them for supporting indie podcasters and people like Shanna who worked really hard to make this stuff happen.
So thanks for listening. Go educate and innovate.
The ideas and opinions expressed in this podcast and the Smart and WDI website are those of the author Shanna Martin and not of her employer or our dog that's barking in the background. Prior to using any of the technologies discussed in this podcast, please consult with your employer regulations. This podcast offers no guarantee that these tools will work for you as described, but we sure hope they do, and we appreciate you listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast.